stream running.
I won't stop, I'm here to get what I want. I'm not lost, I'm here to make it to the top. I'll take a shot, I'll overpower any boss. Cause I am not
Let's
someone
go.
that you would wanna cross.
I move quietly, like a shadow, there's a dark side to me. Or they can keep you up strong, focused on the now. Glass half full or has it been emptied out? Well, that's all up to you and your mind. Do you doubt anything, everything, not a thing? Make my thoughts work for me, manifest what I need, what I want, what I see. I could be anything, I attract all the things that I see. I believe I'll achieve as I breathe in and out again and again. I don't doubt, I sit in a plan and I found out that I can execute if I'm driven, if I listen, if I learn all the wisdom, read some books, something written, watch the best, teach a system I invest, never hidden, I ain't scared, ain't no chicken, I take dares, I'll be winning, you get back what you're giving, find the reason that you're living, what you're good at, all your gifts and what you love, take a risk and find out what you've been missing, yeah. The will lies deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it, this is your why that gives you your purpose. The will lies deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it, this is your why that gives you your purpose. Purpose is better than any drug you could ever think. If you know why you're doing something, that's all you need. I wake up ready for the day because I believe in everything that I'm doing like it was meant to be. I get fixated and captivated on learning things. Don't hesitate to ask questions, the answer that I need. It's out there somewhere, I swear I can find the recipe. By testing, learning, and turning into a better me. The will lies deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it, this is your why that gives you your purpose. The will lies deep way under the surface, and like a fire needs coal in the furnace, this is your goal that makes it all worth it, this is your why that gives you your purpose.
Well, good evening, John.
Good evening, Benjamin.
It's not my name, first of all.
So,
Just telling you, it's not my name.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
Okay.
not.
So I call you what I like. You want me to
Yeah.
call you fuzzy-haired twat?
Yes. Yes. So.
So who pulled your wire?
Well, it's not pulled. It's installed. And this is an installed new wire, John.
Yeah.
This is the gigabit internet cable, John.
It's not been very professionally terminated, mate.
Because it's not ready. It's not. It's just not ready. I thought it would be.
You just can't get the staff
Yes.
these days.
This is indeed Category 6 and graded for weather. DW. It is Category 6
Why did you
graded
bother
for
with
weather.
Cat 6?
Because that's what I was offered, and it was free.
Okay.
So
Well,
you
fair
know,
dues, fair
you
dues.
take what you give them, right? And it's good, isn't it? It's better than Cat 5.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. That's why I have a large Category 6 cable. It's probably about 50, 60 meters used in total, which is not terrible.
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah. So hopefully Wednesday or Friday, I will have a pretty damn stable connection.
Good.
So everything's installed. It's installed at the other end. It's just got to be sorted at this end. The RJ45's got to be installed, and my friend has come and done it. And this is literally his job. So you know what? Taking it for free. I want to thank you, Matt. I want to thank you for doing what you've done, and for obviously in advance for finishing it off. I really appreciate it. So we shall be up and running in full soon. Just that.
Cool.
Really?
Cool. So tell me, what we're going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about
Oh,
Eamon Holmes.
we're gonna talk about Eamon Holmes. I mean, Eamon Holmes is talking right now, but we obviously have to watch that back. So we're going to talk about Eamon Holmes. We're going to
Yep.
talk about Jane.
Jane
We're
Fonda.
going to talk about Jane Fonda.
Barbarella.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay. And Lindsay is indeed a man's name, by the way.
Well,
for
it's a
anybody who
unisex
doesn't know.
name. It's a unisex name.
Well, what I'm saying is it's the name of a man. That's what I should have said. My
Okay.
apologies.
It's spelled different.
Tommy. Yeah, true. Tommy's on the run, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy's on the run. And that a few other
Oh, and
things
I have to tell
as
you
we
about
go on.
using the police as carers.
You do. You have to tell me about using the police as carers. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to hearing about using the
Hey.
police as carers. Eamon Holmes, is this the pie section of the show? Says Tony Garrett. Well, I tell you, Tony, Eamon does like a. I can't do Irish at the moment. Irish? No, I'm not fucking doing it. No, it's not happening. And that was my one F-bomb for the night, by the way.
I tell you
my
what.
one F-bomb.
Okay, one thing I'm going to say is, did you see the state of Glasgow? No.
What do you mean by that? Because I've seen the state of Glasgow in general.
Yeah, but after the weekend, when Celtic won whatever it was they won, cup or something, the place was covered in drunks, litter, and Irish flags. Okay. And
Okay.
someone said, "Police Scotland, why are you allowing this to continue? This is shocking, especially for the people that reside locally." And I said, maybe because Scotland is full of bigotry. Okay.
Ooh.
And someone said, "Where's the bigotry?" Why? What's that Irish flag got to do with a football team? That's a Scottish football team. Yeah? I think there might be a little bit of bigotry there.
I think you could be right. I do. I think you're right. Before we do continue on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, obviously, we love you. We love you. Please hit that like button so that the algorithm can push this live show out. And if you would be so kind, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share. Share. Come and let people know we're here. Ask your friends and family to join us.
I always think it's a bit of a liberty to ask people to like something at the start of a show. I find it quite off-putting.
I don't.
No, I do.
I don't, because they're going to like it.
Hold on, right? If you ask someone to like something at the start of a show, you're asking them to prejudge that this is going to be good. Now, I know we are, right? But that's not always the case. And I don't mean for us. I mean, for other things. It's like me saying, like, share, and subscribe to Little Mermaid before you've seen it. Would you?
Yeah, but the thing.
No. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Well,
I'm asking you to like
literally-
something before you've seen it.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and you can listen to this back after, because you undermined your own argument within your own statement when you said, "I'm not saying us."
No, I'm not undermining our statement at all. What I'm saying is, I know we're good, but other people will think we're rubbish. And why would they then
true.
like us? You know?
Well,
'Cause they
Jessie
won't.
says she'll take back her like at the end if she doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah, well, see, that's just an extra step that you don't want people to have to do. But
True,
anyway, that's just me. So I'd like to welcome you all to this episode 222 of Chasing Dissent Live with me, John,
True.
Grumpy, and in his pop-up studio with extra flags, and with Ben, who is still on a ropey wireless connection.
5G, baby.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Well, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, I'm going to make a little announcement, a little bit of housekeeping that I was trying to make to you during, and you were going, "No, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you." Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching on Twitter, then at 9:30, I am going to end your stream so that you have to come over and watch us on YouTube. You get a little bit of the show, but you're not getting it all because I can remotely end it from this end, and I'm going to.
Wow. I do like
Yeah.
your Big Brother approach.
Yeah.
Totalitarianism has found a new home, and it's
Oh,
called
I'm feeling the
Chasing
power.
Dissent.
I am feeling the power.
You welcome
I am-
lie. Resistance is futile.
Yeah, so if you're watching on Twitter, you have to come over to YouTube at
Come join
9:30.
us. It's fun. Chat's better. Because you'll not chat on
Well,
Twitter.
there's no chat on Twitter at all. They can't chat.
That's what I mean. Fix it, Elon. Give us money and fix it. Throw money at us, we'll fix it.
Yeah, well, Spencer asks in the chat, is Ben waiting to fix his network connection until after your book is published, John?
Probably. Probably. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah. Good evening, Cherie Melville. One of our followers from TikTok has made the journey.
Hello.
Over. Good evening.
Periscope did kind
Nice
of
to
work.
see you
yeah.
there.
No,
Harold
you
says,
can't-
can't you just plug
No,
in
you
the
need to
cable?
terminate it in either a receptacle, which is what I would have done. Rather than put an RJ45 on that, I would have put it into a box on the wall, and then you could have plugged anything into it.
We're going into an RJ45.
Let's see, that's
We're going straight into this.
That's not a very professional approach.
Well, it's my approach. I
Yes.
made that decision.
I'm very disappointed. But anyway,
Yeah, but I made that decision.
socket.
Now we have
yes,
more
I
likes
had
than
to put it in a
viewers.
socket. That's what I did. I put all my stuff in sockets.
Yeah. Beats and Tape says, at least I'm not late today. And Vaughan says, tell Shalini to stop eating my potatoes.
Titles. Well,
So she got them.
She did buy them, didn't she?
Yeah, so she purchased them and then she had them shipped over for him. She didn't bring
over.
them back with her. She had them shipped.
How many did
And then
she bring? It's
There was at least
I can
24
imagine.
bags.
I can imagine. See, my dad used to tell me stories about when they came back from, he was in the Navy, so they spent a lot of time at sea, surprisingly being in the Navy, But anyway, when they came back from foreign tours, they used to bring back all the contraband, right?
Yeah.
And rather than get it examined by customs and them having to pay duty on it, they used to put it in a big crate, mark it helicopter spares, and fly it ahead of the ship. So that it was waiting for them on the dock when they arrived.
That's what I like to hear. That's ingenuity.
Well,
Forward thinking.
When we came back from Hong Kong, right, my acoustic guitar was stuffed with cigarettes.
and I bet you can't play a note on it as well.
Well, I could play Smoke on the Water, but again, everyone.
And
Puff the Magic Dragon for some reason.
Unfortunately, Cherie in the chat, yes, we are still banned from TikTok Live for stupid reasons. They won't respond to us, no matter what we do. They will not respond to us. So there's not much you can do other than go and follow Real Reviews, the other channel, and get that up to its allotted level so that we can do stuff over there. I can play Smoking on the Water too. It's the only song I can play too, says Beats and Tapes.
There you go.
I believe Beats and Tapes is Beats Crates, just renamed. I think that's what we're getting at here.
Deep Purple was Deep Purple is very much my childhood band. I really liked it.
I mean, I've got this with a cap on at the moment.
Don't start playing.
Isn't it just?
Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it's easy.
Right. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Spencer says, "Puff the Magic Dragon."
Yeah.
And Smoke on the Water. No wonder it was stuffed with ciggies.
So what were we talking about before we started down this route of nonsense?
Well, we should get into the news, and I think we need to start with Eamon, don't we?
Eamon's got quite feisty in his old age, hasn't he?
I think he's giving 0 Fs, John. I think he's giving 0 Fs.
I think you're right. I think he realises that he's been well and truly, as they say, and he's really not caring.
So he is currently on GB News right now in a pre-recorded, so it could be edited, sit-down interview with Dan Wootton, blowing the lid, shall we say, on the Philip Schofield situation, saying that everybody knew, essentially, everybody knew. And that
there's no doubt Holly knew, that's for sure.
No, there's no doubt in my mind, allegedly, that Holly knew. I have to say allegedly for legal reasons. But there's no doubt in my mind. Of course, these people were like a bloody family, and the kid was being used by them on screen. He wasn't just a showrunner. They'd have him like on their top lists and other things, doing things on the couch. And he was even on stage at the National Television Awards when they collected their award for this morning. He's a runner. What's he doing on stage with like the producers and the presenters?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But Philip is adamant that he's done nothing illegal. Now, I'm not gonna accuse him of doing anything illegal,
unwise,
because I just
not illegal.
Yeah, unwise but not illegal. And if that is the case, then the only real issue I see, other than it being a bit bloody creepy, and yeah, it is a bit bloody creepy. If it is all legal, then the only issue I see is the lying. And he's lied to his own lawyers, he's lied to his own agents, he's lied to his own managers, he's lied to This Morning. Even Holly is saying that he lied to her. So we can only.
And he lied to the people.
Yeah, of course. Now we've got. Do you know the TikToker Jack Jones? He's like a wannabe comedian, but he's got like 1 million+ followers. When he got 1 million followers on a platform, this was about 10 years ago, something like that. He went into a restaurant where Philip was having dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Philip was having dinner with with Matt McGreevy, and he went and did a pop 1 million followers, and there he was. There's McGreevy having dinner one-on-one with Philip Schofield.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Jack is now trying to take responsibility for outing Schofield. He's saying that if it wasn't for that video I made, this would never have happened. And do you know what? I think that there is some truth to that, but realistically, I think he's just clout chasing. I think he's found because he's not really all that relevant anymore. And I think he's trying to find a way to regain his online relevance because, he's one of these bloody pranksters, these TikTok-y pranksters.
Speaking of pranksters, I saw a I saw a YouTube prankster today doing a bank, an auto teller prank,
Right.
and got his nose broken in 3 places.
Do we have to feel sympathy?
You know what? No, we don't have to. You know what they say? F around and find out.
Well, yeah, I'm actually watching the video right now that you're talking about. The guy's at the ATM, and this guy just grabbed him and threw him to the floor.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if somebody grabbed me and threw me to the floor, I think my reaction would be self-defense as well.
Yeah,
so,
but it was the other guy. It was a third-party guy that came up and just clocked him once. So that was a good smack if he did, because that was 3 places he broke his nose apparently.
Yeah, so let me read this tweet here from one Jimmy Salford. He says, YouTube prankster gets his nose broken after ATM robbery prank goes badly. Are you watching, Mizzy?
He's been arrested again as well.
He's in custody over the weekend.
Train? What was all that about?
Oh yeah, so he was at where was he? It wasn't King's Cross. It was Stratford, I believe. And he was at the train station. He snuck onto a train. He opened the driver's door and got in, and started playing with all the buttons and pissing about. And he did it on camera. Did it on camera because he's an idiot. And he's been arrested for that. His mother refused to take him in, so she refused to let him be bailed to her house. Therefore, he is, I believe, still in custody at this moment, over this weekend, and he's in custody until court. And there are three more charges placed upon him.
Cool.
He wasn't even out for 48 hours after his last conviction. Oh my!
He's not the sharpest tool in the box.
No, he's not. That is a lot of red fluid leaking from that man's nose at the ATM. It's still running in my periphery, and my word, that was, oh my.
Well, you know what they say.
F around, find out.
Find out.
F around, find out.
I've used that quite
Shalini says, yeah, he. Well, yeah, yeah. So people are looking here. Shalini says, yeah, he went on overground at Stratford and messed up with the dials. Yeah, he did.
So
it's his own fault.
What are you drinking? Why are you drinking that?
That's water. I'm drinking water.
Yeah, okay. So Eamon Holmes also said that there is another VIP who is considered untouchable along the lines of JS, right? And nobody will brook it. People have tried to bring him to justice, but the police won't pick it up, And I think it's that's someone quite famous.
Well, if it's someone allegedly untouchable, then it's probably going to be someone quite famous.
Oh yeah, I think it's a sir. And then and all I could say after that is we're all going on a summer holiday.
Oh dear.
We're all going on a
Yes, I know what you're saying.
What?
But and this is just your opinion, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't actually said anything.
This is it. You haven't actually said anything. You have made an assertion for people to make their own decision. That's what you've done.
Like we always say, I'll give you the relevant information. You pick up the pieces and make up your own mind.
Exactly right. I mean, exactly right. There's nothing more we can say on that. DW says, I'm renting an old London bus.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Oh dear. Oh dearie me. Like I said, I'm not.
I wonder what Sue Barker's thinking right now.
Stop.
Close escape. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably the situation there.
Going along the lines of stealing, I'm going to pivot something just a little bit because there was a video released about 8 hours ago. of a Lululemon store, which is a clothes store in the United States, being ransacked by the usual, the usual suspects, shall we say, the protesters in
Well,
in Atlanta.
what were they protesting this time?
Well, whatever they needed to protest in order to ransack a shop.
Yeah,
That's what they
okay.
do.
So basically,
Right?
just looted a shop. Yeah.
So, two female employees confronted the shoplifters on camera and called the police on them.
Mm-hmm.
And Lululemon fired the employees.
What's the
What is
justification
going on?
for that?
Well, I don't know what the full justification is, but it's on video. It's on video. These two ladies confronting them. They don't, attack them or anything like that. They call the police on them. They do try and, walk around, move, try and stop them. But the two ladies that confronted the shoplifters have been sacked for doing it.
Yeah, that doesn't
confronting-
sound right at all.
Mm-hmm. They got sacked for confronting and calling the cops. The owners of Lululemon didn't like the fact, or at least the store manager didn't like the fact that they called the cops as well.
Yeah, what is
going on?
I know.
What is the world coming to? That you lose your job for trying to save your place of business money to stop people stealing.
Yeah, and yet other people in positions of power, like Lindsey Graham, right, say incredibly inflammatory things against another nation state that technically the US is not at war with, right? And then mocks the fact that people are dying in a war that they are funding. He actually mocks that. He mocks that.
He calls it the best money the USA has ever spent. Is that not
glorification of violence? That's, to me, that's abhorrent.
I would say that goes well beyond the glorification of violence, actually.
Yeah.
Abhorrent is absolutely right. And I don't care whether or not these are Russians or Ukrainians. If people were saying that about either side, I would absolutely condemn it. And I do condemn it. Mm-hmm. Because, you know me, I think I've made this statement enough times, but I'll make it again. I'm not on the side of the Russian government. I'm not on the side of the Ukrainian government. I am on the side of the people who work 9 to 5 every day just to try and get on with their lives, get a meal in their kids' bellies, and keep a roof over their heads. They're the people I care about. You people watching this right now.
So it's also been revealed. It's also been revealed that the video that was released by the president of
Zelensky.
Ukraine was edited to make it even more inflammatory. What's he trying to do? He seems to be wanting to provoke World War III. There's no other, nothing else you can say about it.
Well, because in response to this, the Russian government has released an arrest warrant for Senator Lindsey Graham.
Yeah,
they have released an arrest warrant for him. And you know what?
Well, it's as valid as the one that the European, what was it called? The International Court of Justice or whatever issued for Putin. It's as valid as that, i.e. it's not worth the paper it's written on. Unless,
no, of course it's not.
Unless Lindsey Graham goes to Russia, which is probably unlikely.
Yeah, he's not going to set foot in Russia, is he? He's not. There's no way. I mean, he's in Ukraine right now, I believe, or he may have just left. I'm not sure. But he's recently been in Ukraine because that's where this video has come from. Shalini says, Vaughn, you cheat. Oh, no, that's not about this.
No.
But still, yeah. I wholeheartedly condemn what Lindsey Graham has said.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's right. I don't think you should be glorifying the killing of anybody. I don't care what their nationality is. You really shouldn't be doing it. I have to ask the same question as I just asked with the Lululemon thing. What is this world coming to, John? What's it coming to?
Well,
where people can just say these sorts of things and do these sorts of things.
But I don't quite understand what America's end game here is, because what are they trying to do? I mean, it's Marco Rubio has come out. Eventually, he's seen the light and said, "Oh, it looks like China's going to end up with an economy that they don't need dollars for, so we're going to get squeezed out and we won't be part of it." You think? Have we not been talking about this for 2 years?
Yeah, but the thing is,
the American hegemony is gone. It's gone.
And-
you guys are losing it.
entire-
You're not going to be a superpower economically and probably militarily either, because you're stretching yourself in too many fronts and you don't have the capacity to do it. It's like we said the other day. You had 12.1 million troops on the ground in World War II. You're struggling to maintain a standing army of 1.1 million right now because you cannot recruit, because nobody will join you.
no. Nobody will join you. Nobody cares anymore. And at the end of the day, the fact that China is going to become an economic powerhouse is entirely the fault of the West. It is entirely the fault of the West, because we said to them, you can manufacture all our stuff.
Yeah.
Here you go. You manufacture everything. We literally handed them the keys to our manufacturing and said, make it all. Everything,
Make it so.
The vast majority of things, especially electrical things, in any room that you're sitting in right now was made in China. It was all made in China, and this is our fault. Of course, economically, they're going to be doing great. Of course. There's absolutely, I'm just having a look at something.
We're not flowing well tonight. We're not flowing well at all.
No, we're not.
What's going on? I don't like this. I feel we're quite stilted. What do you think, chat room? Do you think we're stilted? It's not a beer fridge. It's a drinks fridge.
You know what I was actually going to say? Because before this show started, John poured some wine. And I used to ask John a question every week. And I'm going to ask it again. John, what's the wine of the week?
The wine of the week is the Horologist.
Okay.
The Horologist. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, land of the sheeple.
Yeah. That's
there
good.
You go.
So I have speaking of the USA and then being able to keep control of anything, a rail car loaded with 30 tons or 61,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate left Cheyenne, Wyoming for California on April 12th. Somehow the fertilizer/explosive disappeared and no one knows where.
So either someone's making a massive fuel air bomb, right? Or farmers have stolen it and are using it to fertilize their crops.
So 61,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate can make 12 tons of TNT.
Yeah.
Just for your just for your information there.
How many pounds?
61,000 pounds.
Right, okay.
Yeah, 61,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Just gone missing. Just gone. They can't even keep a hold of that. How are they going to keep a hold of the global economy? And that was within their own bloody country.
I really don't, as I said, I don't understand what America's trying to do, because have you seen the state of San Francisco? Even Elon Musk is complaining about it. I mean, have you seen the state of Pennsylvania? It's like, what is going on? Philadelphia? All the big cities, all the big blue cities are a complete and utter mess. There's people everywhere. They're all over the streets. And they're all acting like zombies because they're all doped up on something or whatever. But it's like, what are you doing, people? I mean, San Francisco is a beautiful city.
Yeah, it is.
What are they doing? Why are they doing this? It's like a deliberate effort to drive the country into the ground.
Well, I don't think the Republicans or the Democrats just like Labour and the Conservatives here in the UK, are the right choice for anyone.
No.
I don't think a single party is the right choice. I don't think it ever can be, because human beings are different, towns are different, cities are different, locations are different, they do different things, they have different industry. Some, some areas will grow crops, others won't. And a one-size-fits-all kind of governance just cannot work, because it cannot represent you and it cannot represent everybody. And if people keep electing one party, there are so many people who will still disagree with the party, and especially here in the UK, if you use first past the post, where a government gets into power with 30% of the vote, people don't like it. Now, in America, it's a bit different, because whilst I think both parties are useless, I think the Democrats are just evil. I think they're evil because, they talk about the big lie, right? And they use this term, the big lie, which is January the 6th, January 6th being the big lie. The big lie that caused January 6th. But I think the real big lie is that Democrats have changed their position back from before they created their so-called party switch. Remember where the party switch positions? And I say that in inverted commas, because it was the Democrats who started the white-hatted, pointy-hatted people.
Yeah,
it was the Republicans who freed the slaves.
Yeah, that's right.
And now they want to tell you, well, actually, the party switched position at some point. I don't think they did. I think that's the real big lie. I really do. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think that's the real big lie. I think that they're evil. I think that the two aims of government are to feather your own nest and control the population. And I think the Democrats want to control the population a bit more than the Republicans do. Quite simply.
Yeah, it seems to be that the party that used to speak about not being authoritarian, that not being controlling, not being the bit dystopian, the ones that challenged government is now the party that is the antithesis of what it was.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I just don't think they.
It's like there's just what are you to do? I mean, big government doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the federal government appears to be getting worse and worse, because it's putting in more and more laws, and the more laws you get, the more regulations you get, the less free your country becomes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, your government sits there behind the scenes all of the time and just makes laws, makes little rules, makes little statutes, this, that, and the other that are passing through your parliament or your senate or your house, and you don't know about them. You don't know what they are. And what they're doing is making your life a little bit less free. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And people don't realise. And then you get to the point where you've got things like the Irish hate crime bill. I mean, Jesus Christ, have you seen it? That they are criminalising speech in Ireland. They're criminalising speech where you are, John, in Scotland. They've already done that.
Yeah.
And then they're going to try and do it. They're going to try and do it here. And then next, they're going to try and do away with the First Amendment in America, aren't they? Of course they are.
Yeah.
If they manage to do what they want to do, the Democrats, which is stack the Supreme Court, which means put more judges on the bench, as in expand how many are on there so that they can put their positions in. They're going to do away with the First Amendment. You know what the plan is. I know what the plan is. You can see it full whack. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's good. And I think that speech, like I had in this conversation with Brent Lee, speech is what moves the world forward. And these people, these so-called leftists, far leftists, whatever you want to call them, they want you silenced. They want their agendas implemented, and they don't want you saying a word against it. And not only do they not want you to, if you try, they will punish you. Right now, the way that they're punishing people is to get them fired from their jobs. It's to destroy them socially. It's to make sure that they are censored and banned from social media platforms. But if they get into any sort of real power, and in the United States, thankfully, they've only got the presidency, so they don't have hold of the other levers of government right now. They don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, and they really don't have the judiciary. But if they had them all, America's done. It's done.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's just ridiculous. And speaking of free speech and freedom of the press, even, first of all, there's a big push, I believe, by some Republicans in the United States now to tell Biden and the Democrats should just drop it against Assange. They want nothing to do with his prosecution. And I'm still extremely confused as to how somebody who has never been a citizen of a country can commit treason against that country.
You can't.
It just doesn't make any sense, does it?
You can't commit treason. A foreign national cannot commit treason against a foreign power.
No, it can't.
You can only commit treason in your own country. Or against your own country.
I'm looking at our stream and I must say, you look stunning.
Thank you. I feel a bit tired.
Your camera. Well, you drink your way through it. Drink your way through it.
I did reach for the stars today. I've been going up in the world.
We got someone in the chat called Valis, who I've never heard of. Hello there. Who says they know their time is over and are taking as much of the riches before the roof caves in on the country. We are heading in the same direction.
Pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know what? The only people that are going to suffer are all of us. Are all of the ordinary people. The people who already don't have anything will have less. The people who already have, and this is why I've talked about the most important divide being class divide, because the people who already have will ensure that they still have, and you don't. Because they don't care about you. The people in power don't actually care about you. What they care about is feathering their own nest. And John?
Controlling the population. So,
but
let's move on.
Staying along that line.
What?
I was going to say, we can stay along the lines of freedom of the press.
Okay.
And freedom of speech. And Tommy. What's going on with Tommy? Because
apparently
he's fled the country to Cuba. He's fled to Cuba. And it's because, and I quote, a documentary that the High Court said that he could face 2 years in prison for releasing has been released. Now, I'm not going to speak to the validity of the contents of this documentary. I don't know what's in it. I'm also going to say this up front. I don't like the man. Like Andrew Tate, I think he's a bit of an asshole. Right? That's just me up front. But that's not the point. The point of the matter is, if he's made a documentary and he says he can back it up and he's got the evidence to back up what he's saying, how on earth could this happen? How could a man be jailed for...
It happens because the judiciary refuse to recognise people who are not part of the club, i.e. the MSN club, as proper journalists. They just refuse, regardless of qualifications, regardless of intent. And let's face it, we've got just as many journalistic qualifications as Mariana Spring. Okay? And we've probably been doing it for longer. So
yes, we probably have.
So we're just as qualified as Mariana Spring to call ourselves journalists.
Yep.
But she would ultimately be recognised as such by the judiciary, and we wouldn't. We'd just be looked upon as YouTubers to be cast aside.
Right. Exactly right, and that's because she got the employ of the BBC, and then they went to the unions, and they went to all of the, the private company that issues the press cards, and they are a private company. It's a private document. It's not a government document, as people would have you claim. They would have you believe that, but it's not a government document. It's not a government issued document. And it's not a government anything. It's a private company that issues these press cards. They're just recognised because the company has made that so. Okay, anyone could produce a press card and it would be just as valid in law as the one that any of the mainstream journalists carry around, because it's not a legal document. But I had this argument actually out the back of BBC Broadcasting House with a BBC journalist who showed me his press card, and I went, well, what do you think that is? I said, that's not a legal document. He was going, oh, yes, it is. It's legally binding. I said, no, it's not. It's a privately issued card by a private company that is not recognised in law. He's going, oh, but I can go to court with it. I said, so what? Just because the courts know what the card looks like as a piece of identification does not mean it's a legally recognised document. And the irony of the situation is, I know this, he doesn't, and he's the fucking journalist.
Yeah.
Stop!
Did you cut the stream to Twitter?
No, I was about to do that. So if you are watching on Twitter, thank you indeed for watching it. I'm going to try and pull it now. So head over to youtube.com/Chasing Dissent Official. That's youtube.com/Chasing Dissent Official, and come join us there. Bye. Is it down? I think it's down. Let me just double check. I'm just rebooting. Let me just double check. And yes. No. I've pulled it. It's not stopped.
How far behind was it?
I'm watching it now. Unless it's available on Twitter still. Let me just check. I'm just sorry guys, I'm just double checking. Let me just go onto the
As always,
Twitter.
people, we're doing things on the fly. We're just making it up in the seat of our pants. Did you?
Absolutely, yes.
I saw.
I've done it.
Well done. I saw a video the other day about someone who opened the door on an airplane in mid-flight, and the people at the exit row, which you would normally, sell a kidney for to sit in the exit row, were like. Because the wind was howling past them. I bet that livened that flight up. I guess there wouldn't be any meals served after that.
I imagine so. I honestly, I imagine so. So Beats and Tape says there is a big protest in my town by Swansea in Wales over the government moving 300 boat people into a 4-star hotel. Well, in my town, there's now 12 of those hotels. 12 of those hotels. And there's a reason I don't go and cover them and live stream them and things like that, right? Because I spoke about this actually on Twitter, because that's sensationalism. And while sensationalism, yes, gets clicks and sells and stuff like that, that's not what I want to be. And that's not what I don't think we want to be.
No.
So, I mean, we're quite happy to talk about it, but I'm not going to turn up to them with the cameras and things like that, like other people do, because they do it just to get into confrontations, and I'm done with that. I mean, I used to be angry. I used to shout and scream, and stuff like that. I'm done with it.
Very big video pause from you there.
What do you mean?
It's back. Well, you paused. Your video paused while you were still talking.
Oh, well, sorry about
that. But you were still talking. The video was just paused. It was weird.
Interesting.
Dodgy connection.
I mean, I was doing that. Well, the good one will happen. It's installed. It just can't be plugged in.
It's not installed until it's working.
Okay, the infrastructure is installed.
Not quite.
It's just not plugged in.
Not quite.
It's there. All right, it's there.
Is this what they call dark fiber? There's a cable there, but there's nothing going down it.
Yeah, true. So Tommy has he's fled to Cuba. Obviously, he's probably going to try and stay there for a while, I would imagine. And I'm assuming there's no extradition.
I wonder why we chose Cuba.
Is there any extradition with Cuba?
Probably not.
Actually, whilst you bring us on to Jane Fonda, I'll check that out.
I don't think there is any extradition to Cuba. You could have gone to other places, though. I don't know if where would be your first choice if you had to flee the country? This is probably a valid question for us at the moment in time. Where would you go if you had to flee?
North Cyprus. North Cyprus is a good one. They got no extradition in North Cyprus. North Cyprus have no extradition at all.
Well, hold on. I've never heard of North Cyprus. I thought there was Cyprus.
No, so the Cyprus is separated into two parts.
Is North Cyprus the Turkey side?
And they've got no extradition. Andrew says North Cyprus.
I'm not going to
they've
Turkey.
Got no extradition.
I'm not going to anywhere that's ruled by Turkey. I've seen Midnight Express. I am not going near Turkey.
Let's have a look. Non-extradition countries 2023. No extradition to the UK. So, a number of countries including Afghanistan, Algeria, Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, and Syria. there are others, but that's just
None of them are really lighting the fire for me.
so. Some countries that have no extradition treaty with the UK include Afghanistan. I want to know all of them. I don't want to know some. And this is from bloody Interpol.
It's a Turkish
Why is Interpol
site.
giving me?
I'm not going to
So
Turkey.
Yeah, Cuba does not extradite to the UK. There we go.
Cool.
So that's why he's run to Cuba. I
don't
believe
think-
Argentina don't as well.
Well, I think Portugal doesn't have an extradition with the UK.
That would be, closer.
That would be a damn sight closer and more convenient.
Do you think Tommy's going to become one of the boat people that go across from Cuba to Miami?
No, no, because they'll lift them. And let's face it, he's not exactly going to look like a Cuban, is he? I mean, he's whiter than you, and you're
I know.
positively Casper-like.
I know. So Shalini asks, has he taken his family with him to Cuba? He's divorced his wife, so he doesn't live with his wife and kids. So I assume probably not. Yeah.
I know if you go to Brazil and father a child with a Brazilian, they won't extradite you. That's how Ronnie Biggs got away with that.
Let's face it. Have you seen the man?
Huh?
Have you seen the man?
Who?
How he's fathered children with anybody, I don't know.
Who? Ronnie Biggs?
Tommy.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Ronnie Biggs.
I'm just saying. I thought you was giving suggestions there from him. I do. Yeah, so they're divorced. I guess because of all of the things that he does and all of the times he's been to prison, and it was probably not conducive to a healthy environment for the children, so they divorced. And I'm not gonna speak to his ability as a parent or a father. He could be a very good father. I don't know. But all I know is he doesn't live with them, so he's probably done a runner alone or with a friend or two. Probably with a friend or two, because I doubt he's going to Cuba and living it up alone over there. Yeah, they do some nice cigars in Cuba. You're absolutely right there, Shalini. And if we've got any Tommy fans in here, sorry? Probably not sorry. I just don't like the guy. I just don't like the guy.
Here's the countries that don't extradite to the US.
Okay, to the US.
There's a stack of them. Afghanistan, Algeria, Andorra. Andorra? That's handy.
Go to Andorra, yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I could live there. Go skiing in the winter. Angola.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Armenia. That's nearly Europe. Azerbaijan. Bahrain. Bangladesh. Belarus. Soon to be a nuclear power. Benin, Botswana, Brunei, Burkina Faso,
Live there.
Burundi, Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Central African Republic, and we'll be speaking about them as well today, won't we?
We will. We will.
Chad, China, Comoros,
I could live in Hong Kong.
Congo, Djibouti, East Timor, Equatorial Guyana.
Equatorial Guinea.
Equatorial Guinea. Yeah, that's. Is it not Guyana? Do you not say? Oh no, okay. But anyway,
No,
it's
Guinea.
It's yeah, like New Guinea. But is that not where the cannibal pygmies are?
Perhaps, yeah.
These are the dwarfs you don't want. I mean, I want a dwarf, but I don't want a cannibal pygmy dwarf.
Yeah, no, I could live in Hong Kong. I could do Hong Kong.
Yeah,
I think
I've done Hong Kong. Eritrea,
yeah,
Ethiopia, Gabon, Georgia, not the one in America, Guinea,
no, but I could live in Georgia,
Guinea-Bissau, Indonesia, Ivory Coast, Kazakhstan,
live in the Ivory
Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Lebanon, Libya, Madagascar, Maldives.
The Maldives.
Yeah, Maldives.
Well, the only issue is we could be underwater.
What if we could just move to one of the new airports? Mali,
Yeah.
Mauritania, Moldova, Mongolia, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nepal,
Namibia.
Niger,
You live in Nepal.
Oman, Qatar,
You live in.
Russia, Rwanda, Samoa, Sao Tome and Principe, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Solomon Islands, Somalia, South Sudan, Taiwan,
I can live in Taiwan. Yeah, I can live in Taiwan.
Tajikistan, Togo, Tunisia, Turkmenistan, Uganda, Ukraine, Uganda. I think we'll be talking about Uganda as well today. Ukraine, UAE, Uzbekistan, Vanuatu, Vatican City, Vietnam, and Yemen.
Right, that's it. I'm getting a 2-bedroom flat in Vatican City.
Yeah, sure you are.
Yeah, nobody lives there. It's a mile square.
I know.
It's his own country, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of places. Maldives would do for me. Just go there, chill out on the beach. No money. Build a little wooden hut. Be all right. Harold says Zimbabwe isn't safe. A lot of them countries on that list aren't safe, Harold.
I think
A lot of them people.
I'll be honest, probably one of your best bets is Russia.
Belarus.
Yeah, Russia or Belarus. Yeah.
Eastern Europe, probably a good shout.
Not
To be
Romania.
honest. No, probably not. Probably not, to be honest. Right, let's move on then. Well, if you want to talk about Central Africa, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Let's talk about Central Africa. So what was it? Uganda. Let's start with Uganda.
Mhm.
Uganda has signed an anti-gay bill into law. Quite ironic considering this is Pride Month. Is this Pride Month? Does it start?
It is Pride Month.
Yeah. So Uganda has signed an anti-gay bill, signed into law. And I mean, Uganda is a big ally of it considers the US to be one of its big allies. So the US is not happy about this. But Uganda had said that it's had to take this extraordinary measure in order to safeguard itself from the decline of Western civilization.
So,
but you know what?
The president of
They're not wrong.
Yeah, you're right. So the president has signed that bill into law. It's a punitive anti-gay bill. It was signed into law today that includes the death penalty, enshrining into law an intensifying crackdown against LGBTQ people in the East African nation. It is one of the world's most restrictive anti-gay measures. I believe it includes the death penalty.
Well, there you go.
do. Let me. Includes life in prison as penalty. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. So, I'm looking now at the New York Times. President Yoweri Museveni dismissed widespread criticism of the legislation, which is among the most restrictive of its kind in the world. The law, which was introduced in Parliament in March, calls for life imprisonment for anyone who engages in gay fornication. Anyone tries to have the same-sex relations could be liable for up to a decade in prison. So no death penalty. I'm glad I fact-checked myself there. No, it does. The law also decrees the death penalty for anyone convicted of aggravated homosexuality, a term defined as same-sex relations with children or disabled people, those carried out under threat or while someone is unconscious. The offence of attempted aggravated homosexuality carries a sentence of up to 14 years. The legislation is a major blow to efforts by the United Nations, Western governments and civil society groups that had implored the president not to sign it. So it was signed into law today. Now, I find this very difficult. And the reason I find it very difficult is you get stuck in two minds as a libertarian. As somebody who loves the idea of freedom, because I love the idea of freedom and people being able to do what they want and people being able to. I'm quite happy that people are able to, in this day and age, in our country and in Western civilizations, be able to be with same-sex couples if they wish, or sleep with who they want, or I've got no issues with that. What other people do in the privacy of their own home or the privacy of their own bedroom, as long as it's all consenting, it's no business of anyone else's as far as I'm concerned, except for the people involved. On the other hand, is it my place and is it my business to tell other countries what to do? That's where I'm torn in two minds, because if you're a believer in freedom, then you must believe that other countries live the way they want to live, surely.
Yeah, okay, but the problem here is this bill just being imposed on the people without a vote? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's an issue.
And this is pretty much how governments work, isn't it? Because they make a bill and they vote on it amongst themselves, which is a tiny subset of the population. So they're not representing us, they're representing themselves. And they do it in this country as well. There's only 650 of them, right?
650, yeah. And that's in Parliament. Then you've got the Lords, who are unelected.
Yeah, but the Lords don't really do anything either. All they can do is delay.
Yeah, all they can do is delay and send it back and things like that. But I'm thinking unelected people should have no space in the process at all.
Well, the thing is, why should the people that are elected have any say in it as well? Why shouldn't it be the people that decide? Something like this.
I understand.
In this day and age, why can't the people decide?
But the people should be able to decide. And in fact, I'll give credit where credit's due to Ireland, because on these sorts of things, they do referenda. Whether or not they listen, that's a different story, because they've had referendum about things relating to the European Union where they voted no, and then they get it imposed upon them again, and then they vote no again, and then they get it imposed upon them again, and they just vote yes because they're sick of bloody voting. I mean,
yeah. So the problem there is there's no point in giving people referenda if you're not going to take cognizance of what they say.
Well, it's not just referenda, is it? It's also public consultations. If you're not going to take heed and notice of a public consultation, the public that have elected you and put you in your position, then you should not be, it's like the hate crime bill in Ireland. Once again, that's another good example.
Yeah.
The public consultation said no.
I know. And well, it's like you, Liz. The public consultation said no.
Yeah, but he purchased all that crap before but
the public
consultation.
The public said no, but they still put it in place. And the public are now voting with their hammers, basically. So the thing is, why can't we have a bit of a devolved democracy like Switzerland? In this day and age, what's the problem?
Okay, so the thing is, there's a balance, isn't there? And the reason I say that because
what's your point going to be here? That if you
ruling by referenda is tyranny.
But it's exactly the same. If you've got 650 people voting for it, it's the same thing. It's just a smaller subset.
Yeah, I know. And this is the problem. I don't know what the answer is. Honestly.
Democracy is rule by mob. That's all it is.
Yeah,
the mob gets
I
to
don't
rule.
know what the answer is.
In fact, I would actually contend that the elected people voting for you is more tyrannical than allowing the people to make their own mind up. Because what happens is you get elected with 30 or less than 40% of the vote, which means less than half the people voted for you, and yet you're representing everyone. How can that be? How can you represent both sides of the same coin?
Well, so our current democracy, if you want to call it that, in the UK is the tyranny of the minority, whereas ruling by referenda is the tyranny of the majority.
Yeah.
So where's the balance?
Well, you tell me. Where is the balance? See, there's no balance. That's the problem.
No.
And this is why you need to go to a smaller system of government, where you are directly affecting people and you are being directly affected by the choices that you as the government make. Because if you're not directly affected by the choices you make, which none of these clowns in Westminster are, right? None of them are directly affected by the choices they've made, so they can make any choice they like. And that doesn't work as a system of government.
I've just seen something, #VoteNoAustralia trending, so I'm guessing there's a referendum. If you are unsure on how to vote, the voice referendum, then if you so there's a referendum going on right now in Australia. I'm trying to see what it's about. It's called the voice referendum. What is it? Chicken. Well, I don't know. But once again, at least whatever this is, whatever this is, it's a referendum. It's a decision of the people, and I agree with things like the European Union. The referendum was required because it greatly affects all of us one way or the other to have a foreign body that's unelected proposing laws that will be imposed upon us. That affects everybody here. People want to argue against that. I voted Remain. I did. I voted Remain. But now that I know what the European Union is, because I was naive. I was so naive at the time. I didn't really know what the European Union was. I just like being able to travel easier.
Yeah.
You know, but now that I know, and now that I've become far more political than I ever intended to be,
What's sorry, carry on.
I would vote Leave. If
So
if it or
what was old news, Shalini?
she's talking about the anti-gay bill.
It's not
Yeah,
old
it
news.
is
It was only
old.
passed today.
It was only signed into law today.
Yeah.
So but it's been being reported on since March, is what I think she's getting at.
Yeah, but it's been signed into law, and that's the difference. It's no longer just a proposed bill. It's a law now. So it's not old news, because America was very, very much against them signing this into law. And no doubt some kind of freedom will need to be installed.
Of course, we're gonna have to install. Well, I say we're just like America's little puppet, aren't we? We just follow them around.
Well,
Go,
yeah.
oh yes, sir, we do that. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So staying in Africa, right? What's the Central African? What's it? Central African? What's it called?
Military bases.
Yeah, well, the Central African. What's it? What's the full title? Central African
Republic.
That's it. Something like that. Anyway, so they have extended the hand of friendship to Russia, saying that they would be conducive to allowing a Russian military base of between 5,000 and 10,000 troops.
I'll tell you exactly why that is.
Their country.
Well, I'll tell you, if that is the case, I'll tell you exactly why that is, because it's China by proxy, because of the Belt and Road Initiative that has taken over so much of Central Africa. China have been making inroads colonizing Central Africa via the Belt and Road Initiative. You know, people talk about colonizers, and people talk about...
you know what else it's for? It's to keep out the French, because the French have been trying the same thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, let's just talk about colonizing for a minute, because you see all of this argument. You know, even in a Marvel movie, they call the white man a colonizer, and it's like, okay, so where are we? USA probably colonizing a load of places at the moment. Let's face it, that's kind of what they do.
But how can you say that? I mean, the USA, what is there? 196 countries in the world, is it?
Yeah. How many foreign wars have they?
No, I was thinking how many
in?
military bases they have in foreign soil.
Quite a few.
Yeah, I think it's 100. Well, they've got military bases in something like 182 countries. They've got over 500 military bases on foreign soil.
So
they're not colonizers.
So anyway, no, they're not. They're not. But I tell you what is colonization for sure is the Belt and Road Initiative, and that's going on right now. That's going on right now.
Exactly the same. They've been doing the same thing for years. I mean, they've tried. I mean, the British tried it first. I mean, we were colonizers, yeah. But you know what? What's the problem? It's history. It happened. We've moved on.
I'm not responsible. I'm not
responsible, and I'm not paying reparations.
I'm not paying anybody for something I didn't do.
Not my circus.
Exactly right. I'm not paying anything I didn't do. Just because somebody in the past that's long dead that might have looked like me did something does not mean I am responsible for it, and I will not feel guilty about it. I will not feel bad about it, and I will not be told I'm evil because of it simply because of the color of my skin. It's as simple as that. That, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is racism. And you know, I see some of my old friends that I no longer speak to actually popped up on Twitter and told me, ha 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 ha, you can't be racist to white people. Yes, you can.
Of course
You can be racist to anybody. Anybody can be the purveyor of racism, and anybody can be the victim of racism. Racism doesn't have a color. It doesn't. Just because some racism is more acceptable than others, I abhor all racism. I don't look at people based upon their race. I don't look at people based upon their skin color. I just talk to a person as if I see a person. It's their actions that bother me. It is the things that they do and the way that they treat me. I will treat them exactly as they treat me, no matter what. Doesn't matter. Andrew says Ugandan gold reserves are rather tasty. China just signed up mining rights. That's Belt and Road.
Didn't you kind of find like a complete shitload of gold underneath it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was quite recent as well, wasn't it? Right. Sorry.
And so because of the Belt and Road Initiative, and how friendly China are with Russia,
Yeah.
they've been able to make this inroad, or this potential inroad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to see BRICS. You're going to see BRICS become the global power.
It's getting bigger and bigger. I mean, the other countries lining up to join them now.
Yeah, there are. America and the United Kingdom and the European Union should be concerned.
Be afraid.
They
very
should.
afraid.
Yeah, they should be very, very afraid.
So, Jane Fonda, right? Jane Fonda.
She's gone mad.
She's lost it. So Jane Fonda
She's got dementia. She's 85.
Jane Fonda says we have 7 to 8 years to cut carbon emissions in half, or we are doomed. Right?
How does she know this?
But can I finish the bit?
Yeah. Okay.
She probably doesn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
She says,
of course she doesn't.
White men and the patriarchy are to blame. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She also stated that there would be no climate crisis without racism.
Yeah, but racism is, like I said, well, what does she mean by racism?
And then it goes on to say, she's been married 3 times, all to rich white men.
So Jane Fonda's 85 years old. Let's start there. She's 85 years old. She probably, poor woman, doesn't have her faculties about her.
Why do you say that? I mean, why do you automatically assume that people of 80 don't have their faculties? Because that's not necessarily the case.
I'm making that comparison simply because of the absolute insane crap she's saying.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, this isn't right. It's nothing to do with age, because Greta says the same thing, more or less, and she's only 20.
So she said this at Cannes. She said this at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
Where I believe she also, from what I read somewhere, threw a trophy at someone, a trophy at a director.
Yeah, because she's a
yeah.
She's always been a bit of a nutter.
But she's American, right? Jane Fonda? She's American?
Yeah.
So she's somehow got from the United States to Cannes in France.
Yeah, on a plane.
And then she's screaming about climate change.
At least first class, I would say.
At least first class, maybe a private jet. So she's in Cannes in France.
Yeah.
She's rubbing shoulders with rich people.
Rich white men.
Probably many white men. Because of rich white men, and I don't mean to sound sexist here, but at the time that she entered her career, everybody in charge of it probably was a rich white man.
Yeah.
But she is as rich and as famous as she is. Should she just shut up and go and retire in grace?
Yeah, but people don't do that, do they? Especially celebrities. They just can't do it, can they?
I tell you what I don't understand. I'll tell you what I
Tell
think
me.
is insane.
Tell me.
Is
Tell me, Ben. Tell me.
actors and people playing pretend for a living
Yeah.
make political videos telling you who you should vote for.
Yeah.
And people go, yeah! Oh, yeah!
They go
Robert
on-
Downey Jr. says vote
Yeah.
Biden. I'm going to go. These
go on
people
gushing.
read scripts for a living.
Yeah, I know.
They're reading a script. And what I don't understand is the people that go, oh my God, that actor who reads the script and plays pretend for a living. But I've seen him in a film. He's voting this way, so I'm going to vote that way too. Jesus Christ, people getting political opinions from actors.
And you know what?
They know nothing about politics.
And you know
for the
what?
most part.
You know one of the things we've never done?
What's that?
We've never told you who to vote for.
I don't care who you vote for.
Well,
Nothing's going to change.
no, of course we don't. But we've never told you who to vote for. We've never told you what party to vote for. And we've never told you that anybody's going to help you, because what? There are no heroes. You're on your own. There's no saviors out there.
And we never will tell you who to vote for. We won't, because that's your decision. And if you feel somebody who represents a certain political party represents the interests that you hold, they might not be the interests that we hold. They might not be the interests that anyone else holds. You need to vote for whoever represents your interests, or who you believe can represent your interests. I don't believe any of them can represent my interests. I think they're all too far gone, quite frankly, to even begin to represent the interests of people who simply want as much freedom as they possibly can have, because they don't want you to have freedom. They don't want you. These people are in positions of privilege. They have second jobs, most of them, that pay 10 times the fucking salary, excuse my language there, of what their political career pays. They have raised themselves to the position of either upper class or middle class. They will not be affected anymore if they were before, because not many people from the working class make their way into that position.
Yeah.
But they will not be affected anymore by the things that they implement upon you. It will not affect them. Economically, it will not affect them. They close ranks when they do something wrong, so probably legally, it's probably not going to affect them as much as it's going to affect you. And they don't want you obtaining that position over them. So they will keep you in your place. They don't care about you. Just my opinion. And I won't vote for any of them. I can't vote for any of them. So,
as I like to say, there is no credible candidate.
No, there's not. In my opinion, I've not seen a credible candidate. And if you were to find an independent, if I was to run as an independent, and I thought about it, and people who are in this chat right now will know I thought about it, because they tried to encourage me to do it a few years ago, back when I was doing the Shed Show, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought about running as an independent candidate. But even if I was to somehow get enough, and I could probably get enough attention to get a fair amount of votes, because I'm quite good at that. Right, but if I was somehow to get enough attention to, let's say, win, I don't know, pie in the sky, but I'm one person in a sea of absolute corruption and shite, how effective could I possibly be? And
you can't change a system from the inside.
Well, no, you can't. I think the only way you could possibly do that is for somehow an anarchist-type party to get the majority so that they could tear the system down. But that's not going to happen.
And look what's happened in Spain. So Spain's called a general election, right?
Yep.
Because what happened is the regional votes and the regional elections have been whitewashed by the right, the party on the right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's reported as the far right has forced a general election because of the regional results in Spain. Whereas, I mean, in reality, people, the question is, people have voted for the other party. And that's why you have a general election. It's not the far
Yeah.
right. It's just they voted for another party. I mean, the
I
whole thing,
I'm
this whole far right, far left thing is nonsense. It really is nonsense.
they're the same thing.
They are. And
They're
neither of them are that far apart from each other because what are their aims, Ben? Control the population.
their own nest.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's it. And even if there is a change of government, and there may well be in Spain, looking at what I'm reading now, apparently they've absolutely walked it, like you say.
Yeah.
Even if there is a change, and it seems to be just centre-right parties, to be honest. Centre-right, not far-right.
Yeah. So what's
But
going to
even
change?
if there is, well, you tell me, because I don't think anything will change. I don't think anything will change.
In real terms, if Keith get in tomorrow, right, what would change for you? What would change?
I tell you what change. I tell you what would change probably within 18 months is this show will be illegal.
Yeah.
That's what would change.
Yeah. Yeah, but apart from that, what would change? Your living circumstances.
Nothing will get better.
Sorry?
Nothing will get better.
Nothing would probably change that much. It wouldn't get much better and it wouldn't get much worse. It would probably be very similar to how you're living right now.
It would be extremely similar to how we're living right now. Just I believe that Labour want more restriction on freedom and more restriction on speech, and that's from their own rhetoric and from their own actions.
But yeah,
So
this is like that. Yeah, and we're back to the party that used to be the one that challenged authority now embraces it.
Well, because it's not Labour anymore.
Yeah,
it's Labour in name only. It's Lino. It is. It's Lino. I mean, ever since Tony Blair took control of that party, when Tony Blair took control of that party, they became the Tories.
Yeah.
Right? But still, the people that tried to get a hold of it in what I would call quite a coup were what you would call the far leftists. I mean, the Jeremy Corbyn types and the Rebecca Wrong Daly types.
Yeah.
And that rhetoric and the stuff that they espouse has rubbed off on what the party is now, and they just parrot all of that crap.
Well, here's a quickie, right? So here's a quickie. So Beats and Tape says, if you ever win, just make weed legal for me, right? Okay, now.
How could I?
No, but hold on. Portugal decriminalised all drug use. All drug use.
The right move.
Right? They decriminalised it. So it's not technically legal, but it's decriminalised, right? And drug use goes down.
Well, of course it does.
Right? So drug use goes down when you decriminalise it. So
and I'll tell you why that is, because it's not cool anymore.
Yeah. So why doesn't anyone else follow their lead? Particularly if you think about it, Scotland, right, which has the worst drugs problem in Europe, right, has been looking at it for at least 3 or 4 years now, hasn't come up with it. And in fact, the people who were looking at it, when asked to provide a report, resigned because they said they wouldn't be pressured, and they'd already been doing it for like 2 years. So resigned because we're not going to be pressured into doing something half-arsed. So Scotland, all you have to do is pick any other country in Europe and copy what they're doing, and you're going to be better than what you're doing right now. But no, they can't see that. Oh no, we'll look at this, we'll look at that, we'll spend oodles and oodles of money and achieve absolutely nothing while people still die of drug overdoses in Scotland. The worst record in Europe. The worst record in Europe.
So I neither condone or encourage drug use, right? I don't think people should use drugs, and personally speaking, other than what I am legally prescribed, I do not take any medications. I call them medications. But having said that, I am also a big proponent of freedom, and just like I would tell people you can't demand I put something in my body, I wouldn't tell people they can't put something in their body. Now, people can make their own choices based upon what information is
people
available.
can't make their own choices. That's the problem. In
Yeah.
this country, you have so many rules and regulations, you cannot make your own choices. You don't live in a free country anymore. You live in an
No, you
authoritarian
don't.
and tyrannical state. And it's going to get worse because they're making more and more laws every day to make things harder and harder for you to do anything without asking permission. As soon as you have to ask for permission or to beg for forgiveness, then you are not free. And we are not free. We are not a free people.
No, we're not. And I'll tell you what, going back to Andrew's question, just the fundamental basis of it, even if I were to win, I'd be one person in a sea of shite. How on earth could I be effective enough in order to influence such a change? I couldn't be effective enough. And, you know, going back to also what I think Harold said, that's very defeatist. It doesn't matter because it's the truth.
Well,
you know,
it's not a question of being defeatist. It's a question of being honest. I mean, do you want me to tell you everything's going to be great? Because it's not.
Well, no, it's not.
It's just not.
Everything is. No, the systems that we have, they don't work. They work for the people in control of them, but they don't work for you. They don't work for I. They don't work for us. I mean, we are trying so hard here to work for ourselves, and it's being made more difficult and more difficult and more difficult, and not just because of, you know, having to grow on platforms and things like that, but because of the fact we have to contend with these people. And that's what I mean by that is John is in a country where he can go to jail for making an offensive joke across a dinner table.
Right now. In your own home. In your own home.
Yeah.
With your own
across
family.
Your own dinner table. That is not good, and we have to contend with that just to try and talk honestly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane.
So,
it's insane.
Right, let's move on because we're dragging on a bit now. So the Metropolitan Police will not attend emergency calls if they are linked to mental health incidents from September. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you welcome this move to allow officers to focus on fighting crime?
Yeah.
Well, right. Define a mental health incident, and how do you determine if the police should attend or not?
Well, I don't know, actually, because if I'm having an autistic meltdown and I'm not doing anybody any harm, should the police attend? I don't think so.
Well, it depends. Are you causing the public nuisance? Are you creating a breach of the peace?
See, that's a problem. Once again, what do you define as a public nuisance or a breach of the peace? It gets sticky.
Are you breaching the peace? Are you making so much noise that you are putting other people into a state of fear and alarm? That's the definition.
Well, perhaps.
So if you're breaching the peace, then you're committing an offence, and the police should attend, regardless of your mental status.
Andrew says, give ambulance crews taser and baton training.
Well, that really goes against the whole grain, doesn't it?
Do no harm.
Yeah. Do no harm, but I'm going to shoot you with a taser.
Just going to tase you now.
Just going to give you a little tasing. Might kill you, but don't worry about it. We'll bring you back. We'll tase you anyway. And then defibrillate you.
Yeah. Which we'll see you with one lot of electric, then we use another to sort it out.
Right. So what you've got here is you're trying to get the police away from being used as effectively care in the community, because that phrase care in the community is one that makes me laugh, and not in a good way, because it doesn't exist. And when they started,
no, I agree with you.
This is when the rot started. When they started saying, "Well, we're going to put these people back into the community, and it's called care in the community, and we'll look after them." And no, you won't. You won't look after them. You'll send somebody around once a day or something like that to check on them, but you're not really looking after them anymore, and it doesn't work. So there is no care in the community. That's the problem.
No, yeah. And the thing is, I also take umbrage these days to the idea of community, because I don't think it exists. I don't think community cohesion exists anymore.
It probably exists in small villages and things like that, like the Vicar of Dibley type stuff. You've probably still got a bit of a community in these small towns, or up north in Scotland where you've got small towns and things like that. So you've probably, everybody knows everybody. Aaron, for instance, You know, oh, there's a witch's coven in Ireland. Did you know that?
Oh,
There is.
that sounds fun.
Well, I worked in Ireland briefly for a weekend.
Right.
Because I was sent over because the September weekend when all the bikers go over, they draft extra cops in. So I was sent over to work in Ireland for the weekend, and it was a scream. It was a laugh. But I was driving about with a special. So a special is someone who's a lay person who just puts on a police officer's uniform and has rudimentary training and gets to work with a real cop, right?
They don't get paid as well, do they?
They get expenses. That's all. They don't really get paid, no.
Right.
But anyway, so they're like volunteer firemen in effect, I think.
And yet they've got more powers than police community support officers.
Yes, they do. Right. But so anyway, but he was telling me about all the goings on, and the sergeant that had been there before that got sent back to the mainland, his wife had discovered satanic things under his bed.
Oh.
Apparently he was part of this coven. And they were meeting and having deviant sexual practices. The whole thing was quite astushy. I'll need to put this in the book. I'd forgotten all about it until we started talking.
I think this definitely needs to go in the book.
So that was quite interesting. Right, so no, Aaron's nowhere near the Isle of Skye, Adam, for Christ's sake.
Is Ben smoking a vape or a baby's bottle? Well, it's a very large disposable vape. That's all it is. A very large disposable vape with an RGB light.
It's not very north at all. Aaron is opposite air, right? It's nowhere near the Isle of Skye. You can see Ireland from Aaron. Good grief. Oh, you people.
But they do like it. They like Aaron. They're saying Aaron's good.
Yeah. Right, so Aaron's only, at one point, Aaron is only 11 miles from the coast.
So going back to what I was saying anyway, the sense of community, especially, right, so I'm in a town of 100,000 people.
Yeah,
I'm in a town of 100,000 people. There's no community
No,
here.
there's not.
I don't like my neighbours.
No, I know.
Well,
nobody likes some people's. But anyway, apart from that, so the police used to be a kind of all-purpose role, right?
Yeah.
Because you did absolutely everything. And I remember being sent quite routinely to people who had fallen in their homes.
Okay.
Old people who lived alone or lived with their aged partner, or in one case his aged sister, right? Mm-hmm. And they would fall over and couldn't get up. And the ambulance service wouldn't go, right? And the social work wouldn't attend, so they send the police. And we would roll up and we'd go in and we'd have to pick them up, put him in his chair and all that, or put him back in his bed. And they would go, thank you very much, son. And we'd go, it's all right, not a problem. And then we would jump off and away and attend to our next call, right? Now, we did this quite regularly because that was caring the community. That's what they meant. So the National Health Service kind of washed their hands of them. The social work washed their hands of them, and they left it the cops to pick up the pieces.
I'll tell you what, adult social care are awful.
Yeah.
They're underfunded, and they are underfunded, and they are just awful. As somebody who has had to use adult social care myself in order to try and get adaptations in my home, it can take so long just to get what you need.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first time was 2 years.
Yeah, but to go back to that, that's when the police were in touch with the people.
Yeah, but they're not anymore.
And that's the problem, I think, because they say the police by consent, but it's getting to the point they don't. The police by force now. And that's not right. It's not consent, it's policing by force. So,
yes, actually, Spencer, it was. So Spencer says, wasn't care in the community an
Yeah.
excuse for shutting down finally
Yeah.
a lot of the old asylums,
Of course it was.
like Hellingly, local to me, Cane Hill. Yeah, of course it was.
Because these places are expensive to run.
They're expensive to run, and people that work for the NHS that work for them were getting routinely injured, and so they stopped it.
So put them in the community, and let the community deal with it. Yeah,
Absolutely, that's what they did, and that's
Great.
what they're still doing to this day.
Yeah.
And whether or not Harold says, I went to Cane Hill once. I've been to Cane Hill. I've also been to Hellingly before they tore it down. These places are big, were probably a lot of money to run, have a lot of people working for them, are expensive, and like I say, people working for the NHS were getting routinely, and I know someone who used to work, 2 people actually, who used to work in Hellingly, who got routinely injured to the point where they got payouts from the NHS for it. So I can understand why they made every excuse they could to close these places. And also,
Yeah,
it
but
was kind
it didn't
of
benefit the people that were housed in these places. That's the problem. It didn't benefit them. It didn't benefit the community. It didn't really benefit the NHS, and it certainly didn't. It didn't benefit anyone. So
no.
The whole system was just, I'll wash my hands of this and see if someone else can deal with it. You know, I'll put the blinkers on. I can't see it anymore, so it's not a problem. Basically, that's all it became.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And now we've had this discussion. Going back to your original question, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about that. And the thing is, I'm not going to lie to people and say we have all the answers, because I don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. So we'll punt it off to you. Do you think it's a good thing? Or do you think it's a bad thing? You know, decide for yourself. Let us know if you'd like. If you don't reply right now in the chat, come back and leave a comment. Let us know. Because honestly speaking, and I think it's okay, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I don't know the answer. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to solve it. And I don't know how deep the problem goes. So I'm not in a position to give you a definitive answer, John.
No,
and
I know.
Like I said, I think that's okay. We don't have to be in a position to know what to do about absolutely everything. And I'm not just talking about me and you. I'm talking about all of you. You don't have to. Sometimes it's absolutely fine to say I don't know, because you're not expected to know. I mean, many people will expect you to know, but screw them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, screw them. And on that note, John.
No, well, there's one last thing I'd like to bring up, and it's how avocado mania drives climate change and crime. Okay, so apparently, because you like avocados on toast, that's driving climate change, because you've got to ship all these avocados across the world to get to your plate. Now, and because that's driving climate change, it also has some strange knock-on effects, right?
Well, there's also something to do with bees as well, isn't there? Lots of dead bees. Because of your
climate
avocados.
change may make the snapping shrimp snap louder.
I heard this.
Sorry.
I've heard this.
Okay, you've heard of snapping shrimp, or you've heard that it makes them louder. So the oceans are getting louder. Noise pollution in the oceans because of climate change. And there's more. There's more. Climate change, and this is from the BBC. This one, right? So it's probably going to be right, isn't it, Mariana?
Oh yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
So from BBC News, climate change is causing birds to shrink. Study suggests.
Hey mate, the falcon's getting smaller. What's causing it? Climate change?
Yeah.
We don't have any phoenixes in the world. They're not real. Why not? Climate change?
There you go.
The dodo can't fly. Why not? Climate change?
Oh, there you go. Avocados aren't green. Why do you think avocados are green? They're only green on the inside.
Look, I once had an avocado,
Oh,
and
I love
never
avocados
again.
because they're nearly all fat. They're really fantastic. They're really
Disgusting.
good for you. They're almost all fat.
Disgusting.
Oh, lovely. I love them.
Disgusting. Disgusting. You guys can keep your, and John, you can keep your avocado on toast.
Speaking
I
of
will have
ostriches,
a bacon roll and a hash brown.
Speak-
Speaking of breakfast, go to the other channel, which is now called The Real Review, and go watch my breakfast buffet video, because over 250 people have.
then go and watch my Posters from Hell video, because only 36
Yes.
people have watched that. That needs help.
And that's very good. It's a very good video. Mine's just food. It's just food, people.
No.
I mean, you can keep watching it. I don't mind.
So Andrew says, are they confusing ostriches and emus? Right? Now, when birds are shrinking, I think. Because ostriches are bigger than emus. Emus are really big, though. And you know what? Do you remember the Scottish butcher in France? His name was Andrew, too. So remember the Scottish butcher in France? He had a pet emu.
Was he going to eat that?
No, it was a pet. They kept it in one of the fields with the cows.
Okay.
They ate the cows, but they never ate the emu. In fact, we probably ate the cows, but yeah.
Yeah. You got some beautiful ribeye steak on it, didn't you?
His food was, his beef was top notch. I mean, top notch. Way better than, in fact, probably the best Scotch pie I've ever had. And
yeah, you said.
You had to go to France to get it, but probably the best Scotch, way better than that Bell's rubbish or your Kilmarnock pies and all that crap. Way better than all that. That's just top quality stuff. And they even had a pie case machine shipped over from the UK.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you this, when it comes to things like beef and steak in France, when the French sell it to you, it's crap. They sell you hanger steak.
It's just
hanger steak.
It looks like, well, the thing is, the French kill like old dairy cows and then cut them up and sell it as beef, and it's not really. All you could do is boil it into oblivion.
Well, I've been to a couple of supposedly good. Actually, I will say this: I went to a steakhouse in Disneyland Paris at the Ratatouille ride. It's called like Remy's or whatever, and that was probably the single best steak I've ever had.
Yeah, but most of the top quality food's brought in from the UK.
But no, because for comparison, I went to the main Disney park next door. I went to the Silver Spur Steakhouse in Frontierland, paid the same price, and got a horrid leather hanger steak. They just don't know how to do, and it's not just steak. Like I go in an Auchan and their meat section in the supermarket is awful.
It looks like it's been hacked off with an axe, doesn't it?
Yes,
they don't know how to butcher an animal. They really don't. And that's why when you buy things like rabbits and chickens, they're almost all whole. They're never butchered. I'll tell you what. All they do is skin them and take the guts out.
I tell you what's very common in France. Very common. Pig's trotters. Everywhere.
Pig's trotters, pig's brains. They sell them all the time. Intermarché had a special on pig's brains. You got 2 pig's brains in a little vacuum pack, and pig's brains aren't.
Auchan had a special on the trotters last time I was there.
But that size for a pig's
couple
brain,
weeks back.
They're not terribly big.
No.
But anyway, the French are a bit like the Chinese. They eat anything,
Well, it would appear. I mean, thankfully, I've never been served snails or a frog. Thankfully, because I probably wouldn't try them.
I've had frogs' legs, and they're all right. They just taste like chicken, right? But I've never had snails. I just couldn't. There's just something about them that I couldn't bring myself to.
Can't do it.
No, I just can't do it. It's like eating mucus. Why would
it's
you?
It's like Winkles and Whelks.
Yeah, I'm not a great fan.
I'm not eating them.
I like mussels and cockles. I can eat them.
Okay.
If in a clam chowder or something like that, but no, I don't
Nah,
like things.
No, I can certainly sympathise or empathise with that position. It's just not happening.
But the French eat everything. They're like the Chinese. They eat every part of the animal.
They will eat the bugs.
They might.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It's like the French go out hunting every weekend. I'm surprised there's a bird left in France. The amount of hunting that goes on. And they're always hunting wild boars. I mean, there's a lot of wild boar in France. And that's actually
Wild
good
boar
quality.
tastes good.
That's good quality.
Tastes well.
If you
It
can
tastes
get
very
that.
good.
I mean, you can understand why they would go out and hunt that. But, you know, they're all over the... I mean, you drive along the road in France and you'll see chasse, right? And you'll see chasse. And then you start seeing guys sitting at the side of the road with shotguns and rifles. And it's like driving down it's just driving through a gauntlet of weaponry. every 30 yards there's another guy sitting on a chair with a rifle. You're like, Jesus Christ. I hope none of them decide to take a pot shot at one and it goes through the car.
I think French villages and French countrysides are some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever driven through. I think it's a beautiful country. I really do. I just think that they've got a lot to learn about a lot of things. But I think it's a beautiful, beautiful country.
Yeah,
and every time I go, I love spending time in France. I do. I go out there every opportunity that I can.
Most of Europe's lovely as well, to be fair. Most of Europe.
I'm going to...
Spain's a bit sparse on occasion. It's almost desert
in October.
In some places.
I'm going to spend one night in Belgium in October, I believe, as well as in France.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been to Belgium, so I'm looking forward to it. It's something
Where are you
different.
going in Belgium?
I mean, I could tell you, but you'd probably laugh.
Why?
I'm going to a theme park, John.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not really going to Belgium. You're just going to another theme park somewhere. It really wouldn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter what country they're in. They're just theme parks, you know.
Yeah, but you know, it's. I will drive through Belgium and I'll see the scenery and I'll see the countryside, and I love that, and I love that in France as well. I just love taking it all in as I drive through and seeing just how different things are.
I don't know what Adam's talking about. They have public toilets.
Yeah, and believe me when I tell you, when it comes to the motorways, anyway, places like the A1, there's somewhere to go to the toilet everywhere.
They're fantastic.
Yeah,
their services are beyond compare.
I mean, the services are fantastic, but even you get between each service station, you get 2 or 3 places to put. Yeah.
I mean, you can get rid of your rubbish. You can get water. You can have a rest. You can have a picnic. I mean, they're just much better thought out. Here, you drive into a service station and the first thing you get is, if you stay for more than 2 hours, you're going to get fined.
Yeah.
France, you drive into a service station, it's like, hey, take a time. You know, chill
It's
out.
very welcoming.
Yeah.
Cafes are great. It's all fantastic. I love a French service station. Even the little, so it says it's just a petrol station, for example, and you pull off and you go into what is essentially an Esso, and even they've got a massive cafe, a place to go, showers, showers in most of them, and it like you say, it's just so much better thought out, and you come out of them. And also the other thing about British service stations that I always find is there's always somewhere to gamble. Anytime you go in a service station, they're like, here, come in our gambling section, our over 18 section. None of that shite in France. None of it. Just shops and cafes and a nice way to take a nice break. And you know what? They are overpriced. One of these in France.
Well, but service stations are all overpriced anyway.
€5.
Yeah, but France.
€5.
Food in France is really expensive anyway. I mean, that's the one thing we noticed. I mean, to buy a semi-decent steak, you were spending at least €10 to buy one steak.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a 16-ounce rump steak in the fridge that cost me £6.50 from Iceland.
France is
looking forward to
really expensive for food.
Yeah, it is. That's my dinner tomorrow, 16-ounce rump steak.
People used to say that Sweden was really expensive, but Sweden was more of a normal shopping experience than France is.
Well, except for the fact that you have to go to government-owned stores.
Yeah, but that's only for
booze.
alcohol. That's not going to bother you, right? You don't drink.
No, it's not going to bother me.
Right.
I don't drink.
Well, you can buy booze in Sweden, right? In supermarkets, but you can only buy. It's
less than 5% or something.
No, it's like 3.8% or something. So actually,
you can buy a Smirnoff Ice.
I don't know if you can buy that, but you can certainly buy a lager, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but 3.8%, that's probably not far off a Carling, you know what I mean? I mean, you wouldn't choose to drink it, but you could buy it if you wanted. But if you want proper beer, you have to go to the government-run stores. But
It's fine.
But apart from that, the actual shopping experience is very like the UK or even America. They've even got Circle K. It's like a mini America. I love Sweden. And it wasn't that expensive. It really wasn't that expensive for food.
John,
Ben,
this winter, we should take a Chasing Dissent live show every day road trip
we should.
into Europe. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it would be
This
nice.
winter, what do
We
you
need
think?
to get the van fixed.
Well, even if we don't go in the van, we can take my car. We can go for a week and we can stay in cheap hotels. Doesn't matter.
Cheap hotels in Europe. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can get cheap hotels in Europe.
I know what you mean. I've done it as well. I've been across Europe with cheap hotels in the bike.
I was gonna say, but the thing about hotels, right? People go, "Ooh, why do you stay in a Travelodge or a Premier Inn?" Because it's a place to put your head, and I don't intend to be in it for any other time than
Actually,
sleeping and having a bath.
You get some really decent deals on European hotels without having to go to Travelodge or Premier Lodge or all that crap.
Yeah,
You get better ones on local hotels, and we stayed
Yeah,
in some
of course.
cracking hotels when we went to like Prague and places like that, all the way across Europe. But anyway, right.
Yeah, but
So I think we should think about bringing this to a natural conclusion, which would be good night.
I think so. I think so too. And you know what? I'm going to say your contention about it not flowing in the first 20 minutes is blown well out of the water. I think it's flowed very well.
Yeah,
I think it's been a very good show.
I think sometimes it just seems to take us longer to get into it than we normally do.
And I think that's simply because, and I'll tell you why it is. And I think it's something we're going to continue with. So we need to work on and get better at. It's the lack of slides. So we haven't got any visual cues and visual aids anymore. And that's partly because, first of all, we were doing 35 to 40 stories in a 60 to 90 minute period. And we couldn't really talk about them or go deep into them or in depth. Now we're doing 5 or 6 in a 90-minute period, and we can. And I just think it flows better when we get into it.
Yeah, it does.
But second of all, also it's just the two of us working on this show, not just this show, but everything else we do across both channels and all of the other social media platforms, and we simply just don't have the time. We don't have the time.
All the money.
I mean, all the money. I'm constantly producing something for the other channel. I'm producing heavily for the other channel at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
John's constantly setting up and producing for this channel, and he's making the hymners. Plus, he's got other things to do. Plus, my kids are on school holiday. Right? At what point do we have a minute? So, unfortunately, or fortunately, no matter how you look at it, this is the format now, and it has to be for the foreseeable future. Simply because if we had staff, it might be different, and we might be able to give you a bit. And I seem like I'm moaning, but if you've not subscribed, subscribe, and please, if you did enjoy it, hit that like button. And if you want people say, "Hey, come and watch this show, it was pretty good," send it out across your socials and let people know. Bring them in.
Evangelize.
Because the more you help us, the more we can grow, and then the more we can grow, the more money we can make. And I know people go, "Oh, shills, whatever," but the more money we can bring in, the better quality we can give you. So, it's that simple. It's that simple. And on that note, John, say goodbye to these beautiful, beautiful people.
Goodbye, beautiful people. It's been great. For you.
For you.
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation. Too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps
you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.